What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, Division Rivals? This is Stephen Hyder, Gate City Sports Channel. Sports Channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. What's up, guys? So today's topic, I want to talk a little bit about the tight end position. Now that Zach Ertz has been dealt, he's been moved. What's left in the cupboard, right? I mean, we have a lot to talk about here. I mean, Dallas Goedert is going to become that primary target now. He's going to be the primary guy from the tight end position, right? Then we got Jack Stoll to talk about. There's Noah Togai. In addition to Noah Togai, right, we have Tyree Jackson, who's going to be returning from injury soon. Like, a lot to discuss here because there's a lot of youthful optimism around the tight end position. But I'm not going to sit here and say in terms of the pass catching ability that we necessarily have gotten better. I think it's all about the way that you judge it, right? I mean, Zach Ertz was still one of the better players on the team. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But we do have to get younger, guys. I mean, that's the facts. We had to get younger. We had to find ways of figuring out this money situation stuff for down the road. And this is one of the moves that we knew was coming for a while. Like, I think all of us here inherently knew that there was a greater than 50% chance that before the end of the trade deadline, Zach Ertz was going to get dealt somewhere. We tried to do it in the offseason. We didn't get any offers that we liked, which makes me wonder because, basically what we got in return was 2 day 3 picks. We got a day 3 pick that was secured in this past draft, 2021, in Tay Gowan. If you guys want to see a video on Tay Gowan, I have done, and I actually did do a video on Tay Gowan back during the draft profile stuff I was doing. So if you guys want to check that out, go ahead and check it out. I'll link it at the end of the video. But then we also got a 2022 5th-round pick for Zach Ertz. So we got 2 day 3 picks as it kind of shook its way out, guys, if you will. When I look at Dallas Goedert, I think my question really around Dallas Goedert, when you have guys like Noah Togai, Dallas Goedert, and Jack Stoll, I think you got 3 guys that are fairly good in the run game. Like, they can actually block. They're at least willing blockers. I'm not going to say that Noah Togai and Jack Stoll need to be mentioned along, some of the better names in the league yet because they haven't proven it. But in camp and the stuff that the little we saw, because the last 2 years, it's incredibly difficult to get footage of certain things, guys. We all know that. But those 2 guys in particular, the reports that we were hearing is that, hey, man, they're really impressing with the fact that they get down and they're willing to block. We've talked about this offense, guys. We talked about needing, more touches. And it's not even about running, right? So there are designed things for Jalen Hurts where he's running. Okay, and that is a run. But they're taking the ball away from Miles Sanders at times. To where, like last week, he only had 1 touch in the first half. I think that's the bigger concern is that you're taking the ball out of the hands of guys that can make plays for you. And you gotta reevaluate that. You gotta make sure that, that your offense isn't just Jalen Hurts, right? Because we've been talking about offensive identity. I think after 6 games, the identity has shown itself. We all know what it is. It is a Jalen Hurts-centric offense that is based upon RPO reads. That's what the offensive identity is, right? And I've heard a lot of bad reporting around RPOs, guys. Some of these media members are just saying crap that's just can be verified in 5 minutes. They just didn't do their work. They keep saying things like, Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff, they're all coming from areas where they didn't do RPOs, and they're not used to having RPO quarterbacks. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. They didn't do their work. It takes 5 seconds, guys, to go to Pro Football Reference, look up advanced passing stats, filter over to play type, and then look at RPOs and filter by passing attempts. Phillip Rivers was top 10 in RPO passing attempts last year. Jacoby Brissett the year before was top 10. This year, Indianapolis system, Carson Wentz is top 10 in RPO passing attempts. So that was nonsense. That's straight nonsense. They're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. It can absolutely be verified in 5 seconds. They're wrong. Straightforward. They have no clue what they're talking about. In saying that, that doesn't mean that we're not too reliant on RPOs at the same time. Like, you could be wrong about one thing, but be right about the bigger point. And that's what I'm getting to. They're completely wrong about the staff's, knowledge over RPOs. It's part of the offense, and it will remain part of the offense no matter who the quarterback is. I can tell you that straightforward. But the percentage to which we're running it and how predictable it's become over 6 weeks, that is a separate issue, and I think that's correct. And that's where I wonder, with the new tight end situation going on, could we maybe do some things that are different now, right? We have Noah Togai. We have Jack Stoll. We have Dallas Goedert. Can we now utilize our tight ends inside the running game to get matchups, right? I mean, right now, the game I could think of as a clear example was we were hitting, San Francisco was hitting its head against a brick wall trying to run to the interior of our defense in week 2. Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave were shutting them down for a long duration of the game. What did Kyle Shanahan do? He said, cool, I'm going to put my quarterback under center, and I'm going to pitch, and I'm going to get to the outside. We need to adjust. We need to adjust. That's what I'm getting to. So if you take a Jack Stoll, you take a Noah Togai, you take a Dallas Goedert, now you got tight ends that you can use on things like traps. You can use on things like just pulls in general, just generalized pulling of guards, and and you try to get to the outside. Now I don't know if Landon Dickerson is that type of player. I mean, that was more of a say Omalu. We'll have to see. That's to be determined. I think he can do it though. I think he's physical enough. I just don't know if the knee is there for the athleticism to shine through on that. But you got to give it a run. You got to give it a try, or at least we'll have to. I guess we can pull our center, do the same thing with your center. But you have to give it a try, guys. We have to find ways of doing things. I do think counters and traps and just generalized pulling, pulling your guards, pulling your tight ends, trying to create an even or a +1 in the running game. So they come in with 8 in the box, divide the field up, and say, okay, they only got 3 to this side, so we're going to pull a tight end, or we're going to run a counter, we're going to pull a guard, and we're going to get the numbers here. Okay, so even though you got 8 in the box, you ain't got 8 to this side. So we can get the numbers on you, and we can run. These are the type of adjustments I think the new tight end situation can provide us, because you have tight ends that are at least at minimal willing blockers. To be determined how successful they'll be, but we know that they'll give effort at least. And that's a big part of it, right? The other thing that I really want to talk about here, guys, is Tyree Jackson's return. Tyree Jackson, I think, is a different tight end from the other 2 guys that we have backing up Dallas Goedert, right? Noah Togai, he caught a few passes in preseason and in camp that year. Jack Stoll looked pretty good here and there, but I think Tyree Jackson, we all realize, is just physically a different type of player. We're talking a 6'7" guy that can elevate. This isn't a mistake eraser. And I think he can present, a really, really good red zone option. You don't have to be that great as a route runner, but I do think that because he's a quarterback, he already has a fairly good understanding of where he's supposed to be in a route concept. So I think it's already helping him in his young career as a tight end. He's definitely been far better than I think a lot of people expected. He's still a project, guys. Of course he is. He's not going to come out here and run every single route in the route tree. We know that. But at the same time, it's about playing the roles, right? It's about being in the roles and playing the roles that you need to play. And I do think that there's opportunity for when Tyree Jackson is fully healthy for him to be a pretty big contributor to this offense. I absolutely am excited to see this young man get installed into the offense, because right now we're looking at I'd say a 1 to 3 week window between when he's going to get activated. It can happen within the next 1 to 3 weeks, in my opinion. You'll probably see him get activated. But even after he's activated, it's going to take time to work in coming back from an injury that severe. So while I think he could get into games before week 12, he might actually be active or be on the roster and be made inactive, whatever. I'm expecting that from like week 12, then going through to the last third of the season. I think that's when you're going to see this young man have an opportunity to contribute, right? That's when he'll really be healthy enough, in my opinion, to then do something to actually help the offense, if you will. That's what I'm looking for, is over the last third of the season, I want to see that combination, right? Because if not, look, there's no guarantee Dallas Goedert's going to be here. We're already in a contract stalls with Dallas Goedert. Moving Zach Ertz and moving some of that money probably helps, because we're clearly going to defer part of our 2021 cap into 2022. It's absolutely going to happen. I think we all know that. And that's going to create some money to sign some players. But in saying that, there's only so much we can do here, guys. There's only so much we can do here. And I'm interested to see how some of these guys respond to the calling. Because, like I said, we just traded Zach Ertz. There's no 100% guarantee that we come to an agreement with Dallas Goedert. Now, we still control his rights. I mean, we can just franchise tag him if we really needed to. Or we can tender him. There's just different things we can do until we work out a negotiation with him. But in saying that, guys, it's not a layup. I don't want to confuse anyone into thinking like, oh, this means 100% we're going to work something out. No. I mean, you know how these contract talk works, guys. There's no telling. So I think it's really big to see these 3 young guys that we have on the roster, and Tyree Jackson when he gets back, right? Noah Togai, who we just got back again from the Colts, and Jack Stoll. It's important to see if these guys are actual NFL players. They need to show up. They don't need to be Zach Ertz. We're not looking for that. These guys are all different players from Zach Ertz. But they need to play their role behind the primary guy in Dallas Goedert. That's what I want to see. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think about this tight end group, guys? Now that we're minus Zach Ertz and we're installing Dallas Goedert as the number one, and we have these three young guys in Stoll, Togai, and Jackson behind behind Dallas Goedert. What do you guys think? Like, what are your thoughts, your overall thoughts about our tight end group? All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. I'll catch you guys on the next video.